All electrical work must be done by a qualified electrician. Only a qualified electrician using the personal protective equipment and following the procedures recommended in NFPA 70E should ever attempt service or repair of or near an energized area or component of the machine. Whenever maintenance is performed while the equipment is electrically energized, there is a potential electric arc flash hazard. Refer to NFPA 70E for the personal protective equipment required when working with electrically energized components. Pneumatic and hydraulic components may move unexpectedly if not de-energized. Physically restrain any components capable of movement when working on or near those components. Note: the terms traveling end and carriage end are used interchangeably in the Cyber and Cyber AT SAW documentation. Either the CB4 circuit breaker on the stationary end or the CB3 circuit breaker on the traveling end of the SAW will not reset. Perform the following steps to determine why the breaker will not reset. If circuit breaker CB4 will not reset, then normally the problem will be located on wire 1S. To eliminate the rest of the S circuit, make sure the CB4 circuit breaker is off and then disconnect wire number 2S from CR1 and see if the CB4 circuit breaker will stay reset when you turn it back on. If it does, the problem is farther down the S circuit. You will have to go through them one S wire number at a time as you did in Step 1, trying to find the bad e-stop device. If the circuit breaker did not stay reset, then the problem is on the 1S wire. With the CB4 circuit breaker turned off, disconnect the wire 1S from the bottom of the circuit breaker and then turn it back on. If it trips again, then the circuit breaker is bad and needs to be replaced. If it stays on, then the problem is on wire 1S. Turn the circuit breaker CB4 back off and reconnect wire 1S to the breaker. 1S is the main control voltage feed wire on the stationary end of the SAW and travels to each one of the shelves on the far right-hand side of the electrical panel. First, you should pull out each of the shelves to see if there is an obvious cause for the short, such as a loose wire. If nothing obvious, then locate the row of terminal blocks with 10 1S wires. With the CB4 circuit breaker turned off, disconnect one of the 1S wires at the terminal blocks and then turn the CB4 circuit breaker back on. If it stays reset, you found the one with a problem. You will need to follow that wire to see where it goes to determine what is shorting out the circuit. If it does not stay reset, turn the CB4 circuit breaker back off, reconnect the 1S wire you disconnected, and disconnect a different 1S and turn the CB4 circuit breaker back on. Keep repeating this process until the CB4 circuit breaker stays reset. Once again, you will need to follow the wire to determine the problem. On the traveling end, you will follow the same procedure, but there are some known things you want to check first. These are common areas where a short may occur. Visually look at the two limit switches used to count the boards in and out of the SAW. Wire 1T feeds them. With the CB3 circuit breaker turned off, open the limit switches to make sure 1T has not come loose inside the switch, causing a short. Next, check the cable to see if it is damaged. Also examine the two bigger spur gears that drive the carriage back and forth. Sometimes the cable that wire 1T is in will come loose and fall, then get tangled up in the gears. It is always good to check to see that the cable is secure during the regular scheduled maintenance. If you do not find a cause for the problem, follow the same procedure as on the stationary end. If after following this procedure for both the stationary and traveling end of the SAW and the circuit breaker still will not reset, contact the Machinery Customer Service Department at 1-800-523-3380.